Hi and welcome to this course on data scraping from beginners to professional. So data scraping, that's a fancy word and you must have heard of this term. So data scraping is extracting data from the internet for various purposes including research, data analysis, decision making, data feeding for machine learning models and many more. Data scraping is nowadays one of the most in demand skills because in this era, data is everything. And the one who can collect this data from the internet is in huge demand as well. The pays for data scraping engineers are whooping high, and that's not only me who is saying this, it's according to Google. Let's have a look. So if we go for the browser and just search for salary for data scraping, here you can see the annual salaries are whooping high to $143,000. That's quite a figure. And if we go, let's just further down and click on this link. So if you are working in data scraping as a data scientist, then you can make up to $123,000 per year. And if you are working as a data engineer for data scraping, it would be around $132,000 per year. And for the data analyst, it's still quite high, $75,000 per year. So the salaries are quite high. And you just saw that the salaries for data scraping is quite considerable. It's not like it's some minimal or some other stuff. It's quite considerable. Beside going for job, if you grab this skill, you can do freelancing as well. And per hour charges for data scrappers varies from $50 to $100. And in some cases, they go as high as $200 per hour as well. So if we just go for Freelancer, which is quite a popular website for data scraping, and here if we just search for data scraping, so notice the salaries that we are getting: $374 per hour, $403 per hour, $578 per hour, which is quite high. So beside going for job, you can also look for doing freelancing and make quite a handsome amount. But still, this is merely the tip of the iceberg. There are much more in the course that we will be covering. Be it text, media or data in any other format. Every web page displays data in one form or the other. Access to this data is crucial for the success of most businesses in the modern world. The uses of web scraping for business and personal requirements are actually endless. Each business or individual has his role or her own specific need for gathering data. Here we are discussing few of the common usage scenarios or applications of data scraping. The first one is for marketing lead generation. So a web scraper can be used to gather contact details of businesses or individuals from websites like yellowpages.com. Details like email addresses, phone, website URL, etc. can be easily extracted using the web scraper, and then that information can be used later. The next is for business e-commerce. Market analysis, price comparison, competition monitoring is just tip of the iceberg. So companies catering products or services related to a specific domain need to have a comprehensive data of similar products and services which appear in the market every day. A web scraper can be used to keep a constant watch on this data. You can get all the required information from a variety of sources at the click of a button. The next point is gathering data from multiple sources for analysis. You might want to collect data and analyze it related to a specific category for multiple websites. The category might be real estate, automobiles, electronic gadgets, industrial equipments, business contact, marketing, etc. The different websites which belongs to the specific category displays information in different formats. Even with a single website, you may not be able to see all the data at once. The data may be spanned across multiple pages or under various sections. So you can use data scraper here to extract data from multiple websites to a single spreadsheet so that it becomes easy for you to analyze or even visualize the data. The next application is for research. So you can use scrap data for the research. Data is an integral part of any research, be academic, marketing or scientific. A web scraper will help you gather structured data from multiple sources in the internet with ease. The next point, collecting data set for machine learning. So web scraping helps you gather data for testing, training your machine learning models. Quality of your machine learning models actually depends on the quality of training data used, and when the data is not readily available, you can employ web scraping to collect it from various websites. The next, for building your own website. So what you can do, you can scrap product details from Amazon.com, from eBay, from AliExpress, from Alibaba to show on your own website. And you can provide price comparisons, you can provide quality matching, you can even do drop shipping as well, that you can scrap products from other websites and then list them on your own website, and upon getting order you can refer back to the website and place order there. Also you can do you can build number of price comparison applications, like if a user comes to your website and enters Nike shoes and for a particular model, what your website will do, it will scrap all the e-commerce websites and then look for the Nike particular model and then provide the minimum price or the best offer for your customer for that particular product. Next, for providing data to real estate agents. Now what you can do, you can try to scrap information from real estate websites for mortgages website, and then you can provide all that data to the real estate agents so that they can actually grow their business and you can get your cut. Next, get user profiles. So you can use LinkedIn or other social media websites like Facebook, Instagram to get the user's information, to get the user's profile of the relevant domain, and then you can sell all that information to the relevant personnel. The other one is quite interesting, that you can build health applications using the scrap data. So what you can do, you can look for all the available healthcare centers, all the available doctors, physicians, surgeons in the particular area, and then you can scrap all that data and then put that data in an application. And whenever the user wants to look for a surgeon, looks for a general physician, he can, instead of referring to internet and going through all the hustle of finding the relevant doctor, best doctors and all that stuff, he can just open your website, get all the information from there and go to that doctor. Next, build review application. So as I told you that you can scrap any sort of website from the internet, so you can also scrap the reviews. Let's say if I am scraping information from Amazon.com and I want to extract the reviews of a particular product. I want to extract reviews from Alibaba.com. I want to extract reviews of a product from AliExpress.com. I can extract all those reviews and then I can build my own application which will provide users the information of the product and the reviews. And you can also go for building a restaurant review system, that where you get the reviews for the restaurant from various websites, and then you can build your own application showing the data to the user that these restaurants are good enough for that particular services, for that particular dishes, and these are not. The next point is translation of documents. So you can use data scraping for even translation of something. Let's say you have a document, you have files, you have number of text files, and you want to translate them to any other language. You can use data scraping for translating your provided document to any provided language, and that's easy using data scraping. So still, I tried to encapsulate all the applications, all the important applications of data scraping in this video, but still these are merely the tips of the iceberg, and there are many more advantages, many more use cases for scraping the data. Hi and welcome back. Now let's just start our journey towards data scraping. But before starting, let me just provide you with some prerequisites of this course. So the first one is you must have the basic understanding of HTML. Next, you must have basic understanding of programming and Python language. If you are not comfortable with any one of these, you can just go to our website and check out a list of courses there, and you will certainly get comfortable with all the prerequisites. So let's just start the introduction of data scraping. So data scraping is importing information from a website. So in a nutshell, the data scraping is that you have some information available on a website. You use data scrapers, you write different types of programs for extracting that information from the internet, from the websites, and then exporting that information to SQL files, CSV files, and structured data. So the tools that we will be using for this course includes Python request module, Beautiful Soup, Scrapy, and Selenium. So all of these tools have their advantages and disadvantages, their plus points and their drawbacks. We will discuss all of them in details, but all of these tools we will use for scraping the data. So in this video, I just gave you the introduction of the course and the tools that we will be using in the future videos. See you in the next video. Hi and welcome back. Now let me just give you the overview of the projects that we will be doing inside this course. So the first is course.toscrap.com. This is also a very famous website for scraping the data. What we will do, we will try to extract the quotation, the author name, and the tags associated to that quote. And then after extracting all this information from a single page, we will see that how we can control the pagination, how we can go to the next pages, and then how we can extract data from all the preceding pages. And then we will try to export that data, export the extracted data to a CSV file. The next is this IMDb website. We will try to extract the information of top 250 movies of IMDb, and not only that, we will further try to extract some information of that movie available on that movie page, and then we will try to extract some director name and director information as well. Next is this Cricinfo website. Cricinfo is quite famous website for the cricket lovers. Here we will try to extract some top news is coming in, and we will also try to extract some top stats from this website. Next is this e-commerce website. We will try to scrap all the products available in all these categories, and then we will see that how we can do the pagination on the e-commerce website as well. And then upon landing on a product page, we will try to extract the sizes, the colors, the images, the care instruction, the name of the product, and all such information. The last one is this automation project. What we will do, instead of directly referring to data scraping, we will try automation technique for data scraping. We will create a project that will take some input file, and the input file contains some random text. That will, after taking that file, it will put that data, it will throw that data to this website. And let's say if I put hello here, I am getting the translation here. So what our project will do, it will throw our data, file data, to this field and then translate this over here, changing the language. Let's say I want this to be translated in hello, to be translated in French. I can change this from here, and this complete text will be translated to French. So we will see that how we can do that using our code, using our script, and our project will replicate all that stuff on its own, and then we will try to extract this information to our local machine. So this is just the overview of the projects that we will be doing inside this course. And also when we will start this course, we will definitely dig deep into all that stuff. Now let me just explain you the methodology of this complete course. That initially I will be giving you some lectures, providing you some hands-on explanation and doing some discussion with you on data scraping, on different techniques, different methodology. And after a couple of videos, or where necessary, I will provide you some quizzes. After each quiz, I will discuss the solution with you. I will provide you with the detailed explanation, detailed discussion, and the hands-on solution of the quiz. And also each module includes this project, so that whatever we are doing, you develop the better understanding of it while relating it with the project. So this is pretty much it from this video. See you in the next video.
Welcome back to the course. I hope that you're finding this course easy in terms of studying some new topics, concepts, and solutions. I'm sure that you're enjoying the tutorials so far. I wanted to give you a quick rundown about the Udemy review system. Now, I know that you haven't yet completed much of the course, and I understand it's somewhat hard to judge the standard and the content of the course from what you've seen so far. But I just want to say that the Udemy review system is a little bit different. Very shortly, they'll simply ask you for a review. I request you to have a look through the remaining sections of this course, glance through the topics that are going to be covering the concepts you'll be working on in the real world. Check out and see for yourself whether complex concepts have been made simple. And if you honestly think that the content in this course is 5-star material, then please rate it appropriately. But if you feel that there is room for improvement in any specific area, please inform us beforehand before leaving a review. We can address your concerns promptly. We have worked hard to shorten your learning curve, so we're not going to hesitate to even update the course and change things if necessary. We are committed to ensuring that you are totally satisfied with the course material. Each review is very important, as your review will help other course aspirants understand what it is inside the course and the high standard of the content that awaits them. I assure you I will see you at every point right through the tutorials. So let's get back into it.
Hi and welcome to the video. In the previous video, I told you about some of the tools which we will be using for extracting the data from the internet. Now we are heading towards understanding them. So the first tool is Python request module. So here, this is the official documentation for Python request module. Here you can get some code for get started straight away. And then if you want to explore this further, there are certain links for you. It provides you in detail analysis, it provides you in detail knowledge of Python request module. For me, it will not be possible for going into each of these thing in detail, but I will try to cover all the necessary and all the important things. So here you can see that how Python request module works. So you need to import the request first, and then you need to specify the request, then the method. Either you want to use the get method or the post method, and then the URL from which you want to extract data. And these params are quite crucial. These params may contain authentication information, these params may contain request body, these params may contain request header, request cookies, or any sort of information. So if you are not familiar with all this stuff, eventually you will get through this when we will try to do this hands-on. You will get all that stuff, but right now what I am saying is that whenever you want to communicate with the server, whenever you want to exchange data with the server, sometimes it's quite trivial. You can just simply hit on the URL and it will send you back the data. But if the server is expecting something, if the server is expecting some data in the headers, the server is expecting something in the body or any other information, then you have to specify the body and the cookies information and the header information in the request, and then the server will send back you the response. Otherwise, the server will send you some error code and not with the actual information which you are expecting. So here, after getting the response from the server, this will be saved in this variable, which you can after use for extracting the status code to check that either we are getting the proper response from the server or not, what are the headers provided by the server, what is the encoding, what is the text, and you can also convert this into JSON as well. So here also I have some of the prominent features of Python request module. For me it will not be possible for cover all of this in details, but let me just tell you about some of this which is most commonly used and which are quite important. The first one is keep alive and connection pooling. So this means that if you are in connection with the server and after extracting the first data, the connection between you and the server won't certainly terminated. It will be consistent, right? The connection will be alive. So if you want to extract any data again, you can just hit the website and this you can hit the server and it will provide you with the response. Again, it has some sort of automatic decompression, it has cookie management system, it has SSL verifications, all that stuff. So if you want to explore this in detail, you can just come to this documentation and you can go in detail of any aspect you want. But for me, again, it will not be possible for cover all of this stuff in detail, but I will try to cover all the important stuff for extracting the data. So up till here we have saw that what actually Python request module is, and in the next video I will be doing hands-on using Python request module. Hi and welcome back. In the previous video I gave you an overview of Python request module and we also went through the documentation. Now we are heading towards doing some hands-on with that. So for the hands-on, we are trying to scrap the codes to Scrap website. This is a very common website for the data scraping as it is quite simple, plus it has all the use cases for the data scraping. So the structure of this website is that on a particular page there will be 10 divs containing the codes, the author which has stated the code, and then the tags related to that code. Now what we will do is we will try to hit this URL using the request, and then we will try to get this HTTP as a response, and then we will try to extract the codes from that response and create a new text file out of it. So let me just explain you the flow first, that what is happening here under the hood in the browser, so that you may have the better understanding of the request module. So when the browser is hitting to this URL, this is not actually the response which we are getting, right? Where the browser must be getting some sort of HTML code or some sort of string or some sort of some APIs or some responses of APIs. But this is not exactly what this browser is getting. The browser must be getting some sort of HTML code. So if you press Ctrl U, or if you go for right click and press view page source, so this is the thing which this browser is actually getting when the browser is hitting on this URL. So this is a simple HTML document which this browser is actually rendering us here as a web page. Now when we will try to hit the URL using the request module, so we will be getting the exact same HTML in the response, and then what we will do is we will try to extract the codes out of it. So from here, let's just go to the IDE, and so this is the IDE which we are using. This is PyCharm, and you can go for any IDE you want. You can go for Sublime, Atom, or you can go for VS Code, anything you want. But the reason why I am using PyCharm is because while you are working with Python, working in PyCharm is quite handy because it provides you much better intelligence as compared to other IDEs. So from here, if we go here, so the first thing is that you have to send a request. What you will do is you will say request.get and then the URL which you want to hit, and then from here you are seeing that the response will be passed to this R variable, and we are doing r.statuscode. So what this status code is doing, this status code actually tells you that whether the server responded you with the proper answer, the proper expected answer or not. So if you are familiar with this status code, then it would be easy for you to understand. But if you are not, what you can do is you can simply go for the web status codes. Okay. And here are some of the codes which server send you when you hit it. So let's say if it's 100, if it's 200, 203, 206, 300. So usually what you are expecting is 200. So 200 response means 200 status code means that the request was perfect. There was nothing wrong in the request and the server has sent you back the proper expected answer. If you are getting, let's say 400, then that means there is a bad request and there is something wrong in the request and you have to look into it. You can further, if you want to explore further about status codes, you can just certainly click here and it will explain further about these. The reason why we actually rely on status codes are that when you hit a server, the server will respond back to you with a particular response, right? This response contains the data, it contains the status code, it contains the headers, all that information. The only thing is status code, which will tell you beforehand that whether server has responded properly or not. If there is anything wrong with the request and the server is not responding as properly, the status code will not be 200. So the first thing what we will do is we will check the status code, and we will see that if the status code is 200, then that means that our data has been successfully received, and then now we can do whatever we want to do with this. Even there are certain use cases in the web scraping that if the status code is not 200, if it's let's say 302, if it's 400, then you try to change the request and then resend it, right? So there are certain use cases and the status code is quite important. So then after that you are getting the r.encoding. This means that the response is encoded in that particular encoding. It could be UTF-8 or any other encoding. The last one is r.text. This is responsible for displaying the actual response, the actual constituent of the response, the content of the response, which we are actually looking for. So over here, this is our IDE. The first thing what we will do is we will copy this thing, r equals to request.get and this URL. Rests request.get and then the URL. So for the URL we can just simply copy this because we are trying to scrap this. See, this is the this request is now being red underlined. So what this is now expecting is that I need to import the request. See, if I hover over it, it states that unresolved reference request. So if I come here and I say import requests request, so again this error has been removed. Now this is the error. Now one thing that you must have in account, that there are some built-in libraries, built-in modules that are pre-available in Python. You just need to import that and you are good to go. But there are certain libraries like request module or some scraping modules like Selenium for Beautiful Soap that are not pre-available in the Python. You have to install them first and then you can use them. So if if I just hover over it, click on it and hit Alt Enter, it suggests me to install package request. If you are not using PyCharm, you are using some other editor, you can certainly open your terminal, and over there if you type pip install and the name of the package you want to install, it will just install that package. So in your case it would be like pip install request and it will install that. So if I click this, it will start installing the request module and doing all of its indexing. So again the flow would be that we will hit this URL using the request module, and then the server will send us this HTML response as a text, as a string. Then we will try to extract response from that. But right now what we will do is we will just simply display the status of the server, that whether we are getting the proper response or not, and then in the next video we will try to extract the codes out of it. So over here if we just simply say print r.status code, save it, and if we go for the terminal and Python, then the name of the file main.py, hit enter. Perfect. So see, we are getting the 200 status code. So that means that there was nothing wrong with our request and the server has responded us with the proper message. So in this video we have saw that how we can actually hit a server and how the browser is communicating with the server. So in the next video we will see that how we can parse the text. Code of that response. Now what we will do is we will try to extract the text, try to extract the HTML from that response, and then we will try to extract the codes from this. So here if we go for text, as I just told you that if you go for response, the variable in which we are getting the response dot text, it will provide you the actual content of the response which we are looking for. So if we just hit it again, just scroll this up and hit it again, perfect. Now we are actually printing the HTML, we are printing the actual content response of the server response. So if we go again here and right click here, view page source, So as I just told you in the previous video, that this is the content which actually the browser is getting from the server. This content is just merely the rendering of the content which browser is doing for us, but actually the browser is getting this content. So if we see at the bottom, this is something which is present on the bottom of the response. So if we see here in our terminal, we are getting the same thing. So we are up till here we have done good. Now next thing is that we have to figure out a way that how we can extract the codes from them. So if we try to scroll this up and okay, so see, this is the thing. You can notice something in here that every code at the every line which contains the code is starting from this thing: span, class text, item, prop text. If you go here as well in this code, yeah, this is here as well. So now what we will do is we will try to iterate on this, and if a line contains this thing, we will extract the text among them. So let's just see. So if we go here and if we save, let's say an HTML equals to r.text, and over here if we just simply say HTML.split it on the basis of new lines, and then if we start iterating over it, now what actually I am doing is I am just splitting this complete string, as I just told you earlier that the complete response is a string. So what I am doing is I am splitting it on the base of \n. What split do is it actually converts a string into a list of the delimiters separated by the delimiter. So if I have a string which says a comma b comma c, and if I split it on the basis of comma, what I will get a list. The first index will contain a, the second will contain b, the third will contain c. So this is what exactly I'm doing right now. So if I created a list here, and then I'm just printing the line. So if we just hit it again, yeah, we are exactly getting the same thing again. So now, but actually what is happening now is it is being considered as an individual line right now. Instead of a complete string, this is an individual line. So over here, if I check this statement, that if what was that line which were present at the start of every code, yeah, this thing. So let's just copy this and see that if this in line, then I want you to print the line. So if we hit it again, yeah, perfect. Now see, we are, instead of getting the complete HTML, now we are only getting this thing. So now from the line, if we just simply remove this thing, okay, we can even consider let's just remove the let's just remain the code as it is and say line dot replace. Now I want to replace this thing with an empty string. So if I hit it again over here, see, now the starting of this the starting tag has been disappeared. Now the next what we have to do is we have to remove this thing as well. Okay, and then we can do just dot replace here as well. Put this thing here and put this thing here. Now hit it again. Perfect. Now we are only getting the codes. So what we can do is right now we can just simply put it in the some sort of file or anything, but before putting it in file, let's just trim this to remove the white spaces from there. See, there are some white spaces here. This is actually a white space, these are actually white spaces, so I'm just trying to remove this to make it in much more readable form, and then we will write it in a file. Strip. So what strip will do, it will actually trips out the fine white spaces at the both end of the string. So if we hit it here, and sorry, we have to print that. So if we write here, and hopefully this time we will be getting our codes. Perfect. Now what we have to do is we have to put these in a we can open a file here with open quotes.txt. Now I want to write it, and then I think we have to specify the encoding here as well, but let's just see. So now what I am doing is I am opening a file. Actually, I am creating a file here, and its name would be quotes.txt, and here I am writing that it would be in a write mode because I want to write text in that file. And after that, let's just give it a tab here, and instead of printing this line, what we can do is we can say f dot write and this thing. Then after putting this, we just have to put a new line here. Otherwise it would be, I guess it will be in the same single line, because we have stripped this. So eventually stripping will remove all the white spaces from the end. So if we just write this with using this single line without putting any new line, so all the codes will be present in the file in a single line. So if we run this, and hopefully if we don't get any error on the encoding thing. Yeah, perfect. So if we click on here, we are getting a quotes.txt. Yeah, that's perfect. So actually this thing, we can actually consider removing this thing as well, but let's just remove this. So let's just make it much more better. So we should consider putting, these were the quotes. So let's just copy this here and put it here, and instead of removing this thing only, it will remove the final quotes as well. And let's just copy this thing and paste it here, and now if we hit it again, and if we open the quotes.txt now, it's perfect. Now our quotes have been extracted. Now the thing which I wanted to show you here is that one thing you might have noticed, that extracting the quotes from here is kind of a hectic job, right? If you are not familiar with working with Python, if you are not that much comfortable in working with Python, then writing all this code just to extract the quotes from the HTML is quite tough job. So in the later videos, when we try to explore Beautiful Soup and we will try to explore Selenium and Scrapy, you will notice something, that they provide the essence of the tree, the essence of the DOM tree, that they provide you to write CSS selectors, and you can just simply write a CSS selector and it will extract out all the data from there. You don't have to manually parse it. The drawback of request module is only this, that you must have to provide the parsing mechanism, parsing logic by on your own. So it is feasible for parsing some, if you are hitting some APIs. We will see that in the later video, that if we are hitting some API using the request module, then it's quite handy. But if you are getting some sort of HTML in the response, then parsing the relevant thing is actually quite a nightmare. So in this video, I told you about that after extracting the response from the server of the HTML content of the response, how you can extract some useful information out of it. And I also told you that the absence of DOM, the absence of tree in the HTML is quite a messy thing to play around if you want to extract some further data from it. If you are not getting some JSON as a response, if you are getting an HTML using the request, then it is quite a hectic job to extract your meaningful data out of it. In the next video, we will try to see some further things, that how we can use request module to extract further information. Hi and welcome back. So let's just have a quiz. So you have to extract author names of the codes and save them in a file authors.txt. So now what I am expecting is that there are the codes and there are the authors of these codes. So what I want you to do is to extract these authors names from these divs, from these codes, and then save it in a file. So just give it a try, and in the next video I will share the solution with you. Hi and welcome back. Now let's just discuss the solution of the quiz. So the question I asked was, that instead of extracting the codes from this div, I wanted you to ask the author name only. So that was pretty simple, that what we were doing, that we were extracting the codes by checking that if a particular set of text is present inside a line, then we considered that that line contains our code, and then we just simply replace that line or remove that unwanted text, and we extracted the code out. We will be doing exactly same thing for extracting the codes. So let's just go to the IDE, do the imports here, import requests, and then let's just go for requests dot get, and over here we have to just put this URL back, and we get the response in res variable, and then we have to extract the HTML out of it. And now we will just split that HTML on the basis of \n, and that will provide us each line for each iteration. So if we go for line in HTML dot split it on the basis of \n, and then let's say if we just print the line. So now if we hit it again, perfect. See, I'm getting again the complete HTML of this website. So now what we did earlier was we looked for this thing, that if this thing is present inside a line, then we considered that this thing actually contains our code, and then we replace this thing with empty string, and then we get our code and we put it in the file. So now just look below that this is again some text, right? And we can check that further, that either every code contains this text before the author name or not. So let's just head down, and this is the code. Perfect. And see, there is also this tag which encloses the author. So what we can do right now, instead of looking for this thing, we can write a condition that will look for this one, and if a line contains this text, we can assume that that particular line must have our author name. So if we just copy this, come back here, and if we go for if, let's just give it a new line, and we say if this in line, then we just want to print that line. So now if we give it a go, so hopefully we will be getting only that particular lines that contains our author names. So that's perfect. Now instead of getting that complete HTML, we are only printing those lines that contains our author name. So see, this is the Albert Einstein first one, and if we refer back here, so this is the Albert Einstein here as well. Now what we have to do is that we will just do exactly the same thing. We will simply replace this text, replace this complete text by an empty string. That's simple. So if we just simply go for line equals to line dot replace, I want to replace this thing by an empty string. Now if we give it a go, perfect. Now we are getting only this thing. Now the next thing is we have to remove this thing as well. Now we can do line equals to line dot replace. Now I want to replace this thing with again an empty string. Now what we have to do, we have to just strip the white spaces. So we will use the strip function, and strip function is responsible for cutting out white spaces from both ends of the string. So we can now, instead of making it a line, we can just say it as author and line dot strip. Oh sorry, we have to print the author here. Perfect. Now we are getting the author name. Now what we have to do is, the next section is that we have to put that author names in a file authors.txt. So again, that we did that last time, that we will open a file here with open authors.txt in the write mode, and F is our file handler, and let's just give it a tab here. And instead of printing that, what we can do is we can just f.write that in the file, and let's just add a new line. Now if we hit it again, and if we open this one, so perfect, now we are getting the names of the author here. So this is pretty much it from the solution side. So if you are facing any problem with that, if you are stuck at anywhere, just mention in that comment and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Hi and welcome back. In the previous video, we did some hands-on with the Python request, and what we did, we tried to extract some codes from the HTML and we tried to put it in a file. Now what we will do is we will try to see that what are the available codes on the website, and then we will try to scrap that. So here, if we go to the website again, if you scroll down to the bottom, you could have noticed this next button. If we click on this next button, it is taking us to the page number 2. Notice this URL over here. It is page /2. Further, there are some further codes. If we click on next, it takes us page number 3, page number 4, and so forth. So what we will do is we will try to replicate this thing in our request module, and we will try to extract codes from, let's say, first 10 pages, and we will try to do the same thing. We will read that code, we will extract that code, and then we will put that in the text file. So one thing to notice here is that I want to tell you is there are two ways for pagination. The first method is that the pagination is being controlled by the URL, which is quite simple. That there is some, let's say if we are on some e-commerce website and we are on page number 1 of the product. Then if we click on the next, or if we click on the page number 2, so there could be two options. The first option is that the page is being changed by the URL change. So there would be a change in the URL and the page will be re-rendered. It's kind of the page is being refreshed, it's like. But the other way is that the JavaScript is actually sending an AJAX request to the server, fetching out the response and then rendering it on the screen. In that manner, the URL from here will not be changed. Then you have to go in the network panel and search out that AJAX request and do all that stuff. We will certainly see that in the next videos. But right now, what we are focusing on is that if the URL is being changed, right? So that then how we can extract data from that kind of websites. And in the later videos, we will see that if the URL is not being changed and the response is being get by the AJAX request, then how we can replicate that. So over here, if we go on page number 1, and let me just tell you something, that if you are trying to do the pagination from the URL, there are around 90 to 95% chances that the first page, if either there is mentioned page number or not, but this could be get by the paging as well. So what I am saying is, if we go for the next, just press Ctrl and click here to open the new tab. See, this is the URL pattern here, that /page/page number. So if we click on here, if we put it here, and then if we put the 1 here, so hopefully we will be getting the same codes which we are getting right now. Yeah, perfect. So the advantage of this thing is that I am actually normalizing the URL. So if I don't do that, then I have to write a separate code for the page number 1 for the first page with only this section of URL, and then for the next pages I have to append this and do all that stuff. But if we try to normalize this, and if we try to figure out a way that we can extract all the pages using same URL pattern, then it will make our job much easy. So now referring back to our script, what we will do is, instead of just hitting on this thing, we will put this thing over here. and this is the page number 1. Now what we can do, we can just simply write a for loop over here which will iterate from page number 1 to 10, and we will pass the page number here, and after sending response to the server for particular page, the response will be get back to this R variable. Then we are extracting the HTML from the response, and then we are parsing it and putting it in the file. So let's just write a for loop for I in range 1 to 11, because I want to go it from 1 to 10, so I have to write 1 to 11 and then just give it a tab. And over here let's just put a I and mark it as F notation because it's a F string now. So now what will happen is, let me just show you that what actually the URLs is being created, then it will make much more sense to you. So if we just comment this out and come here and let's just print this. Right now if we give it a go, see, these are the strings which will be generated for the URL, and then what we are doing is we are just putting it here and doing all that stuff. Let's just uncomment this and assign it a variable in a URL equals to this thing, and instead of hitting it on a string, let's just hit it on a variable. You can put this string here as well, but I just like it that way to make things modular. So over here I am passing the URL, and then it will start heading to that URL, getting the response and fetching it and putting extracting the URLs and creating a new file. One thing to notice here is that the file is being opened in write mode. So how write mode W mode works is that it will open the file, and if there is anything present in the file, it will simply wipes it out and then starts writing the data. So if we use W, at the end of the script we will only be having the codes from the last page, because when the last page, when it is running for the page number 10, it will again open the text file and then wipes it out and then put the last quote here. So what we have to do is we have to put the append mode. In that way it will only just try to append the new landed data appending in the text file. So for the first page it will write it on the top, and then when we go for the second page, it will put it in at the bottom of the first page. It won't wipe out the data. So now hopefully this thing is done. We are extracting the URL and all that stuff. One thing we might have to do is we have to specify the encoding here as well. The reason why I'm using this thing is because there are certain escape characters available in the response which this open is unable to handle. So we have to specify that this is the encoding pattern of the string, which is usually UTF-8. The almost 80 to 90% of the times the encoding pattern is UTF-8, and it will consider that encoding pattern, and instead of raising the exception, raising the error, it will consider that and put that in the file. Now if we run this, so everything's look good. Okay. One thing more that I told you in the when I was introducing you with the tools working for the Scrapy. So I told you that the drawback of request module is that it is not it is sequential. So if it is hitting for the page number 1, so until or unless the script is not getting the response back from the server, it will not send the request for the page number 2. So it's like a blocker request. So firstly you will send the request to page number 1, then you will wait for the response. After that you will send to page number 2, and then you will wait for the response. So when we will try to scrap the same website using some Beautiful Soup or even for Scrapy, you will notice the speed of scraping the data, that those things will run in parallel. But this request module is actually a sequential thing, so it will wait for the response and then send the new request. So let me just print here as well that page number I, which will tell us that which page right now we are getting data from. And if we hit it again, see this, there is a delay. So after sending the request to a particular page, it is waiting for that page to send the response back, and then it is sending the new one. So if, let's say, you can imagine that there are hundreds of pages and there are thousands of pages, then you can imagine that using the request module will be quite delaying thing. It will actually take much more time as compared to the other things. So if we go for the codes now, yeah, perfect. Hopefully we will be getting the 100 codes, 10 codes per page. Yeah, we are getting the 100 codes. So this is how you try to replicate the pagination in the script. So in this video I told you about the pagination stuff, that how you can do pagination or only if the URL is being changed for the pagination. And in the next video we will further see about the request module.